Hey guys, this is Jakob. I'm content manager and I'm helping small and medium enterprises with their content strategy. In my podcast, Content Marketing Mastery, I'm interviewing people who create great content or are in the PR scene. And today I have a special guest and we are going to speak about the right mindset that you need in order to create your own digital business. I'm speaking today with Gina Gardiner. Welcome, Gina. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you. And thank you so much for having me on the show.
I'm really excited to speak with you today because when we met the first time, I checked everything, I looked at your website, and I thought myself, she doesn't really need my help because you're doing already very well. You're producing content, you're doing videos, and you also have a coaching group. So it's a very good how you doing this. And I thought myself, maybe we should talk about the right mindset that people need, entrepreneurs need in this new digital world. So that will be our topic today, and I'm very excited to speak about this topic. But before we speak about this, can you introduce yourself in a nutshell? So who are you, and what is your passion?
So my name's Gina Gardiner. I am a motivational speaker, an empowerment and transformational leadership coach.
Mm-hmm.
And I have over 30 years experience in helping people step into their genuine power to become the leaders of their own life, their own business, mm-hmm. to help them recognize that when you focus on the things that you can do rather than that you can't, when you really understand what your purpose is and mm-hmm. why that's important to you, then you can achieve pretty well anything. And I've learned to walk twice as an adult. And so I recognize that for myself and the many, many clients I've worked with, that having that mindset makes all the difference between success and failure.
Yes. But you also worked a long time also in, so to say, in the corporate world. Was there a defining moment for you where you said, okay, I want to start my own thing, my own business, my own digital business?
Right. My background is I was a head teacher or principal for just over 20 years, mm-hmm. An award-winning school, biggest of its type in the district. And during that time, I worked for the National College of Leadership, the London Institute, as a trainer facilitator, and also as an advisor for the government in terms of workforce reform. I left my education when in 2004 because mm-hmm. of my health. I was given an ultimatum by the neurologist who said, if you don't stop working the 14, 15-hour day, then you will be housebound. And so I decided once I had left, I wasn't ready for daytime television. So I thought, okay. I think leadership is the same whether you're talking about small businesses or large businesses or education. So I took myself off to do a research project across industry.
Yeah.
So not only in terms of different size businesses, but also local government, health, insurance, finance, manufacturing, retail, and so on, to look at were the issues facing them in terms of the development of leadership and people the same as they were in education. And of course they were. The widgets are different, but actually people are people. And so I wrote my first couple of books, and I wrote those because I needed something to give me credibility in the corporate world and in the business world, because in those days, even though I employed almost 100 people and my budget was £1.5 million a year, and I was responsible for everything, there was a perception in the business world that that wasn't running a business.
Okay.
So I wrote my first two books, How to Manage Your Staff More Effectively, which is about what it says what it does. It's using all the strategies that I'd used to help in my own school, and I worked with dozens of other schools to help them. And the second one was Kickstart Your Career. It's how to be the professional grown-up quickly, and that came from because we used to train students from university. And so between 2004 and the recession in early 2009, I worked pretty well with corporates, training, facilitation, coaching and so on. But in early 2009, when the last big recession hit, within 1 week I'd lost a whole year's contracts because they had slashed the training and development budget. By that time, I was working with Essex University as a visiting lecturer in their business school, and they used to commission me out to go and work with organisations to go and troubleshoot or train. And I was always invited back, and it was usually for something that could have been avoided. So I then talked to those businesses, and I started, again, a different business under the same heading. That was Gina Gardiner Associates, which I still run. And that was working on a retainer, always with the senior decision makers, but then depending on the business, working with their managers and whole staff, depending on the need. And I still do that today, or at least I did that until the beginning of COVID. It just happens that all of my businesses have either come to a full stop or within COVID, or things have had to shift. And so whilst I'm supporting them, it's not in quite the same way. But 3 years ago, almost 3 years ago, I recognized that I had a bigger purpose, and that was to help more people step into their power. Because there are so many people who are unhappy and struggling, businesses where they were seeing financial profit as the only profit. And as a result, people were unhappy. They were not getting the best out of their staff. They were overwhelmed, overstretched. And so I set up Genuinely You. And that was designed to be completely online. Now, you've got to recognize that when I started Genuinely You, I had a Facebook account and I had a LinkedIn account, and I did nothing with them. Okay. People would send me stuff on Facebook. I used to get very fed up with, why are you sending me pictures of your breakfast or your dinner? Am I bothered really? And LinkedIn, I had a page on LinkedIn, but I didn't do anything with it. However, if you're going to run an entirely digital business, and Genuinely You is, then you've got to get known. For the last 10 years of my Gina Gardiner Associates business, I did no marketing at all. Every person came to me by personal recommendation. And I have to say, I was very lucky and very lazy, because I got all the business I needed with other people just sending them to me.
Okay.
That's my idea of business bliss, I have to tell you. How different from Genuinely You. People didn't know who I was, what I did. Why would they take any notice of me? The only way it seemed to me that I could do that was helping people get to know what I stand for. And to do that, I needed to find a vehicle. And so digital content for me was the perfect vehicle. By this time, I'd written another couple of books, but I had to prove who I was. Did I have integrity? Did I walk my talk? And for me, the way to do that was initially with free content. And so on LinkedIn, you'll find there's something like 180 articles, and goodness only knows how many blogs. I've got dozens and dozens of videos on YouTube. I post regularly on Facebook, so articles, blogs, live videos, recorded videos. I went to LA and created a TV series to use for my website. And so there is an enormous amount of content. And then, having created a following, I've got over 20,000 LinkedIn connections, about 2,000 or 3,000 Facebook connections. Then it was time for me to start creating paid programs. And the one thing I'm not short of is content, because I've got well over 30 years of experience of dealing with people from the age of 4 to the age of 84. For me, leadership for life means that I have experience of dealing with children, with parents, with clients that have come through my life coaching or through business. And so it's capitalizing on that experience and expertise.
Yeah. So what I like is that you just do the things. So you're not overcomplicating this process. So because many people think, well, I should do more on LinkedIn, but I don't know why. I don't know how to do it, and they stop and they just don't try it. But when we reverse engineer the process, I mean, now you're already producing. When you started, did you have some help, or did you do everything yourself, or how does this how it happened in the past?
I need to make something very, very clear.
Okay.
I have been so far out of my comfort zone for the last 3 years. I don't even know where my comfort zone is anymore. Okay.
But I think that's a good thing, right?
It is a good thing. I have to say, when you first start doing it, it can be really scary. And I think a lot of people, you know, you started off by talking about mindset. And I think one of the things about it is so many people fear they'll fail. And as a result, they think, well, if I don't try, then I haven't failed. My view is that there are only 2 types of failure. Failure to learn when things go wrong, or failure to give it a go in the first place.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, part of this is you've got to get over yourself. I mean, remember, I'm used to standing in front of people and speaking. Not got a problem. I had 20 years experience in standing in front of 600 people every weekday morning. And let me tell you that young people are great critics, okay? But put me in front of a camera for the first time, and I felt as if my mouth was filled with chewing gum, and my brain and my mouth were not connected. And instead of being articulate, it was blah, 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 blah. And so I think the first video that I created was 5 minutes long, and it took me 40 takes before I could bear to let it go anywhere. And when I look at it, back at it now, I think, goodness me, was I that bad? But the only way you get better is with practice. Now, I've spent a lot of money and I've wasted a lot of money following various gurus telling me you should do it this way, you should do it that way. And I think the reality is that first and foremost, you've got to be authentic. You've got to be who you are. I'm not talking about doing a video with the washing, you know, hanging up in the background, or you in your pajamas, although I have seen that. But I am talking about, you know, to start with, people who are wanting me to present myself in a very hard sell way. And that's not who I am. Yeah. And so not only did I not feel comfortable, it came across, I'm sure, as not being authentic. Now, with a company name like Genuinely You, it's so important to me that I am authentic. I am who you see. So I think, you know, if you're starting out, one of the things is, first and foremost, it doesn't have to be perfect. If you wait for things to be perfect, you will never do them. So correct. It has to be good enough, and it has to be intentional. You know, think about, what is it you want to say, and why is it that you want to say that? What's the message that you want to get out there? Or if you're creating a training session, what is it that you want people to know by the end of the session that they didn't know at the beginning? And reverse engineering, I always start with the end in mind and work my way back. So that's really great advice. But I think, you know, there was a famous golfer who said, you know, the more I practice, the luckier I get. And I think that's very true when you're talking about content creation. The more you do it, if you were prepared to then review what you've done and look at what's gone well and celebrate that, that's really important. But also think, how could I make this even better? Now, listen to the language, really important. I'm not saying, how could I make this better? The presupposition for that is it's not good. But when you talk about things being even better, you can always build on what you've done and make it even better. And so I would say to you, if you haven't got going, then get your finger out and get going, because I've just been listening to a recording by my mentor and a couple of people who were in my mastermind group, talking about time is of the essence. If you don't get into the digital age creating good digital content, you are going to be toast as a business.
Yes.
There is no way you can ignore the digital world anymore, however much you might want to. And so it's about making friends with it. If you see it as the enemy, if you see it as something that is scary and difficult, then it's going to be your enemy. It's going to be that monster that you've got to get over. But if you actually start to make friends with it, experiment with it, you don't have to publish stuff to start with, but just experiment. A couple of little tricks I found really helpful is I'm used to talking to people. I love interacting, you know, whether it's one-on-one or a big group, that I'm in my own element. But sitting in front of a camera where there's no person, I found incredibly difficult. So I stuck a photograph on the window behind my computer of one of my clients. And so instead of speaking to this piece of machinery, I spoke to them.
Yes.
And I found that's really helpful. And although now I don't need to put the photograph up there, I always have a particular audience, and my audience is very broad. I buck the trend in that everybody's niching down. For me, my clients are people. And it's interesting that it doesn't matter whether you're talking about personal life or professional life, you need to look at their beliefs. You need to look at relationships. You need to look at how their mindset and how they manage success or failure. You need to look at how they manage change and transition and what their purpose is, whether you're talking about a personal issue or a business issue. So although you come in at it from a different gate, you're actually having to look at the same issues. And so, you know, I made a decision about, well, actually, probably only 6 months ago, that I was going to stop following the herd and doing what I was told was right for the herd and start to do what feels right for me. And what feels right for me is my work is about leadership for life. So if you are an individual who wants some help or just wants life to be better, or you're a business and you want to be more profitable, but profitable in the sense of not only the finances, but making the most of your people. If you want to take things to the next stage and in this new era of consciousness, become awakened and become the leaders of this next phase in life, then I'm your girl. But if you want something else, well, I'm not. And I think one of the things for your listeners to remember, there are 70 billion people on this planet. There are plenty of people to go around. Okay, you know, worrying about who you're going to work with. I think whilst all the gurus talk about that, and I don't know, but my gut feel is listen to your intuition. Who are you destined to help? Your expertise. Who will it help? And you don't have to be the consummate expert to necessarily be of value to other people, because sometimes it's the people who are 1 or 2 steps ahead of you who are actually better at helping you than somebody who's got absolute mastery and hasn't got a clue what it's like to struggle.
Yes.
I think that's, for me, the example I would use of that is, you probably don't have this problem, but technology is not my thing, okay? Although my school was one of the first in the UK to have a computer in 1984, bearing in mind this computer was the size of a dining room table and had less memory than the smallest phone now, I still struggle with new technology, and I particularly struggle with written instructions of what to do. Okay, so Googling stuff doesn't actually help me. I need somebody to show me, ideally.
Okay.
But I've learned is it's no good going to people who are incredibly clever at it, because they go, diddly-do, that's how you do it. And I don't keep up. So I
Yeah.
need somebody who recognizes my pain and can work at my pace and not at the speed of light. So if you're listening to this, remember your expertise, your experience will be valuable. You just have to choose who your audience is going to be. Mm-hmm. And if you are a fairly inexperienced in something, then don't target people who are going to be experts. Target those people who are just about to start. Mm-hmm. If you're an expert, then you have a choice in terms of who you target. But please remember that if you are targeting beginners, that you have to go at their pace, not yours.
Yes, very true. So speaking in the language of your ideal client or somebody who's starting out, yeah, very true. You mentioned something that's very interesting when it comes to selling. So this is also a huge thing for many entrepreneurs, for especially when they are starting out. So what lessons did you learn in the last 3 years maybe, or in this year, when it comes to selling? So what advice would you give? Because as an entrepreneur, you have to sell your idea, you have to pitch, you have to speak with people. And I think many people are afraid to do this, or they don't want to do it. So what lessons?
I was very reluctant, I have to say, kicking and screaming. You know, I don't like selling, I don't like marketing. But I was talking to someone who really shifted my thinking. Mm-hmm. And asked me a series of questions. I can't remember the exact question, but went something like this. What's your purpose in life? My purpose is to support people and enable them to step into their power in order to reach their potential. Great. So, if you're not going to tell people about what you do mm-hmm. and how you can help them, how will they know that you can help them?
Exactly.
They won't. So rather than seeing it as selling, what about just letting people know that you have something that you can do or be that will help them achieve their goal, whatever that might be? When it was put like that, selling became something different. Mm-hmm. Instead of me trying to push my product onto people, mm-hmm. far more for me is, these are the things that I can help with. And if you think I'm the right fit for you, then come and talk to me.
Yes. So you're becoming something like magnetic. They are choosing you instead you're choosing them, because you can say, well, that's my duty. I have to help you with this. That's my passion. That's what I'm here for. And if you need this, then come to me. And then they will come to you. That's cool.
And I'm very clear, you know, if people come and they want something and it's not my thing, then I will recommend somebody else if I know someone. But ultimately, I think it's about the difference between sell, and there are still lots of people who use that approach, and it may work for them. It doesn't work for me. There is a huge difference between that and saying, look, here's my light. This is what I offer. This is who I am, and this is my experience. If that's of something that resonates with you, then come on. Mm-hmm. We can really make a difference. I can help you accelerate your progress. Yes. I can be the difference that makes the difference, that helps you, but only if it feels right for you. Mm-hmm. And so for me, you know, if you think of magnets attracting rather than magnets, you know, putting it the other way around and then repelling, for me, there is that feeling of attraction rather than I am selling, I'm uncomfortable, I don't like doing this. And I'm sure that the energy that goes behind that is one of repelling. Yeah. Whereas if I am the right person for you, I'm letting you know what I do, I'm letting you know how I can help, then come talk to me.
Yeah.
We will help. I can help you move forward. I can help you change your mindset. I can help you deal with your limiting beliefs that are getting in the way. I can help you really accelerate your journey. And together, because I can't do it for you, what I can do is facilitate your growth and support you and challenge you. And if people feel that's right, well, here I am.
That's cool. Great advice. So if people want to get more information about you and Genuine You, where should they go?
Go to the website, genuinely hyphen and then the word you.com, or go to enlightenedleadership.co or ginagardiner.com. So that's genuinely-you.com, enlightenedleadership.co, or ginagardiner.com. You can find me on LinkedIn, still under Gina Gardiner Associates, because I still run that business. There's a Genuinely You group on Facebook. Please go to the Genuinely You YouTube channel and subscribe. I'm really trying to build that up. You'd be really grateful if you could all go and subscribe to that and get other people to do that. There's loads of great stuff on there. And actually, if you go to the series called Uncut with Gina and Soup Def, you can actually see me in action, because I'm coaching people I've never met before. And you can see in 1 hour how they make real progress, great aha moments. So you can go and see that on YouTube.
Cool. Yeah.
Oh, and Tumblr as well. I'm on Tumblr too.
Okay, that's the reason why I interviewed you, because you're everywhere. So normally I say, well, I will include the link into the show notes, but I will check this. I just want to make sure that I don't forget any links. So I will send you again an email. So if there's something else, just send me. Okay, cool.
That's smashing. Thank you very much.
And my last question, who would you recommend for my podcast as an interview guest?
Oh, there is a guy, the guy, in fact, who gave me the advice, TG, Thomas, I think his surname is, who talks about the unselling process.
Oh, cool.
And I found that really helpful, and I can make an introduction after the show. But he's got a really great system around selling and marketing, which is about not selling. Okay,
cool. That sounds very good. Yeah. Would appreciate if I get an introduction. Is there something else? Sorry for interrupting. Is there something else that you want to share?
What I would say to anybody who's listening to this is, today is the beginning of the rest of your life. Make the most of it. You know, everything you do is your choice, and even not choosing is a choice. And so many people, I think, leave it and leave it and leave it because they're frightened. You know, when you step out of your comfort zone, it's unfamiliar rather than frightening. And the more you do it, the more familiar it will become. You know, I started my new business and I was well over 60. So I suspect a lot of you are far younger than me. Make the most of it. You know, don't have any regrets. I wish I'd, you know, get on with it. Get your finger out and get moving, because time is of the essence. Don't get left behind. Give it a go. That's my last.
That's very good. Nothing to add to it. So really, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. And I think there were valuable lessons that people get. And yeah, thank you.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you very much indeed for having me.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.